Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 226 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. Today, I'm joined by Mondo.
Hello.
Hello. Jodie is out sick, but we have the ever wonderful Rachel from the Zombie Grrls. Welcome back.
I would say I'm back, but really I just like hang out in the background until you call on me at all times. I just stay here. I never leave.
You're always in the waiting room, just whenever I deem you worthy.
Yes, yes. When you are you not merciful?
We have a spotlight, like a bat, like the bat symbol. We just shine to the sky, and that's when Rachel knows she's ready. She's on.
What does the Dads from the Crypt bat symbol look like?
I was gonna say I just throw glitter in the air, and
at this point, like an old man holding their back with a cane.
I mean, both of those would work. I would respond to either glitter being thrown in the air or old man back symbol.
All right, we got a lot to talk about, so we're gonna get into it. But first, check out our Patreon. We have mini episodes on there, usually 15 to 20 minutes, quick hit reviews with some great guests. We have some about weapons and companion, ugly stepsister, him, together, begonia, good boy, Stranger Things season 5, and then my most recent ones is a double feature, two separate episodes, but also both of them with Allison from the Who's There podcast. We talk about 28 years later, the Bone Temple and Bone Lake.
Just a bunch of feel-good films on there.
I know.
Honestly, those are both kind of comfort watches as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't seen Bone Temple yet. And, Bone Lake got so hyped up. I thought it was going to be way hornier than it actually was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's horny, but yeah, it's not as like over the top. But it's definitely the horny vibe.
Man, I think I can't remember the name of it. It's going to drive me nuts right now. But I love the movie with Barbara Crampton from a couple years ago.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah,
she's like the horny therapist hooking up with the kid from the babysitter. Which is
I need some of that
confusing.
That level, because that movie was insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Mondo, we do need a quick report. Did you see 20 years later Bone Temple yet?
No. I was gonna go see it this week, but again, my back's been messed up, so I didn't want to sit in the theater for hours and be in agony. I'm debating on Monday going in the scene because it's still in the theater, and I think that's a sign that I should go see it. And everyone, I love 28 Years Later, by the way. Again, it's the first time 28 Days watcher. Like 2 months ago, we did that episode. That's the first time I ever watched 28 Days Later. And then I watched Years the next week. I was like, holy shit, I loved Years too. So I'm pretty excited for Bone Temple because everyone, when I tell them that, says, oh, you're going to love Bone Temple even more. And I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, there's one part in particular. Jason knows exactly what I'm talking about that I cannot wait for you to see.
I know what part you're talking about because someone spoiled that part for me.
It's the way it happens.
They didn't spoil what happens, but they spoiled the soundtrack for me because they know I'm a huge fan of that band, which is totally fine.
No, it's the performance and the way they work it in.
It's like it's brilliant and amazing, and I have like so many thoughts and feelings about that scene. I cannot. You gotta slide into the DMs and let me know when you've seen it because I want to hear what you think.
So definitely check out that Patreon. Also, always helps to support the show. We appreciate it. So this week we're talking about Silence of the Lambs for its 35th anniversary, which just makes me feel decrepit. And also it's part of Fright Rag's release this week, and if you are watching our YouTube, you should see an example of the t-shirt they have coming out. So that's coming out the day after this releases, so the Tuesday after. So check out Fright Rags. They always do wonderful shirts, wonderful art. So it's kind of the shirt's in honor of the 35th anniversary, and why wouldn't we want to cover on the 35th anniversary? So here we are. Let me get back to our regular view. All right, since Jodie's not here, I did a quick plot synopsis. Let me just get to where my notes are. Okay. Silence of the Lambs, which actually came out on Valentine's Day, 1991, which I think it's kind of funny.
Imagine that as well. Never mind. Why'd you having a first date on Valentine's Day? That's just also kind of wild. was like, imagine taking
that's a lot of pressure
here, but yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
A lot of interesting conversations after that, probably. All right. Silence of the Lambs follows FBI trainee Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, who is recruited to interview imprisoned cannibal serial killer Dr. Hannibal Lecter in hopes that he can help profile a new murderer known as Buffalo Bill. Clarice pursues clues across a tense psychological investigation. Lecter manipulates her through a series of chilly exchanges, forcing her to confront her own past traumas. The case escalates into a race against time to save Bill's latest captive, culminating in Clarice facing the killer alone, proving her courage, intelligence, and resolve, while forever being changed by her encounter with Dr. Lecter. All right, Rachel. As kind of you mentioned before, as each of us talks, gives our opinions. I want to hear what your relationship is with this now franchise as a whole. So tell us about that and tell us what you think about this movie.
Well, this movie was is like a formative film for me. Now that you said that it came out 35 years ago, everyone's going to know exactly how old I am. But like I saw this when I was like 11 in the theater. My mom took me and my friend Kim Podesta. She didn't really know what she was getting herself into, and she took us to see it. And then when he attacks the cop, my mom jumped up and ran out of the theater and left us behind.
She left you behind?
She left us behind. She spent the rest of the movie in the lobby, and like the guy in the lobby was like, that was the worst part. You're okay. And she's like, no, I'm not going back.
You know, it's a real fight or flight response where you decide, fuck these kids. Like, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm numero uno.
I have, as a parent, I've been there because, I have a huge fear of snakes. And one time I was taking one of my kids to a science museum, and someone's walking around with a snake like on their arm. And my kid ran to go pet it, and I couldn't run towards them to like be with them, but also everything in my body wanted to run away, so I was stuck. Where I was, I can like figure out which way to go. So I know that feeling.
My family has always known if a human being breaks into my house and tries to harm my family, I'm going to take care of some business. If a giant spider breaks in my house, like, you better keep up with me, dude, because I am like not looking out for numero uno at that point.
Just you and your dog, right? Your kids
they might be on their own too. Like, I don't know.
All right, Rachel, go on.
But yeah, so this was a movie that was like, it's not a movie that I just enjoy, but it was like one of those things that like had a huge impact on my forming mind, and has loomed large in my life ever since. I don't know if people are watching this, but behind me I have like a Death Head's Moth because I am such a huge fan of this movie. I will say, as a franchise as a whole, it is very hit and miss. I think the Hannibal series is an incredible piece of television and character work, but oh boy, is Hannibal learned all the wrong lessons, and is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, I almost walked out of the theater when I saw that. Yeah, do not like Hannibal at all. It is a total miscarriage of justice for its two central characters, as far as I'm concerned. And if I never have to see Ray Liotta call someone a corn-pone pussy again, I will be happy. So yeah, I have a very strong attachment to this, even though I am going to say critical things about it because I think we have to. Like, that's in my heart of hearts, I do genuinely love this movie.
I mean, 35 years later, any movie is gonna, have aged to some different degrees, and like, things will show up that you might not have realized when you first watched it.
It's pretty controversial at the time too. Yeah. There was a lot of like, there was a lot of talk and a lot of like protesting around this film when it came out. Yeah, and it wasn't wrong.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Mondo.
So I'm going to be, I told these guys beforehand, I'll be very transparent that I've had like a really ridiculously crazy 7 days. I did not get a chance to rewatch it, but it's a movie I've watched several times. And much like Rachel, I remember us renting it on VHS back in the day. And for me, and this is kind of a weird period of my horror fandom being young, because I probably watched this when I was, 6 or 7 when I first rented it. Nice. And maybe not that young, but I think I first put 9 or 10 the first time I watched it. But I also like grew up in my household was not a great household at that point. So a lot of movies that I watched in that time period with my parents, I don't have fond memories of because of the household I lived in, which I'm not going to get into. But I do remember always the scene that always stuck with me is the night vision scene in this.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That to this day I find to be like just a masterpiece of cinema, horrifying to be in that situation. But I also like in as an adult, Anthony Hopkins is so good in this, and Jodie Foster is so amazing in this movie, and it's kind of weird to look back on that. And even in the 90s, having a female lead protagonist that kind of owned the movie and was written as a strong, capable woman was still kind of rare. And I think like much I kind of know what you're getting at with Hannibal, how they kind of very much did a mischaracter. It's one of those things where when I was younger and I saw Hannibal in the theater when it came out, and I was in high school, I think, and I fell asleep during Hannibal. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's boring as shit for 3/4 of it, and then it's terrible for the rest.
Yeah, but I always wondered, like, why didn't Jodie Foster sign on to do the sequel? And then as I got older and rewatched it, I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I get it, because she had to have read that script and been like, this isn't my character.
Hell no. Yeah.
And I've read the book too, and the book is very similar to the movie, where it's like they didn't quite know where they were going with the characters. But this one is a great kind of character study between the two people. Anthony Hopkins is downright. It's kind of weird to me that people kind of look at him as like almost like a sex symbol from this movie, when he's a terrible human being, but the scariest part about him is how good he is at manipulation and how he manipulates people. And I think that's really the core of his personality. Like, to me, the cannibalism is more of a power thing than it is anything else. But I really love Silence of the Lambs. If anybody's listening to this and has not seen it, like, this is a movie that everyone kind of really needs to see. It's on the I want to say, I hate saying Mount Rushmore of movies, but it's up there as being one of the all-time great horror films, and I think one of the first ones to win in the modern times to win an Oscar. I think I got Best Picture, I think, right?
It swept all of them.
Best director, best actress,
swept.
Best actor. Yeah, it's crazy.
I did my research, apparently. Yeah, great movie. And if you're listening to this without watching it, you can hit pause and go watch it. It's fine. So it's a rip roaring 2 hours of fun.
Yeah, it does not feel like 2 hours, man.
It does
not. Flies by.
It's almost kind of weird, because when I thought about this movie, I felt like my brain is always a lot longer than there actually is. Not that it feels long, but because they pack so much into that runtime but there's never any downtime. You never feel like it gives the movie has room to breathe. Don't get me wrong, but there's constantly something interesting happening.
Yeah.
I think
absolutely.
Because like it almost cuts off the first third of a traditional story like this, where like there'll be a detective and he's the first one to discover the first victim, and then they kind of like uncover these crimes, but it drops us in the middle of the investigation, because we're in Clarice's point of view, where everything has already been happening in this world. So I clocked it this time. Hannibal, she goes to visit Hannibal at minute 12 of this movie. We're like,
that is good pacing. Yes.
Yeah. We're like, usually you would take like all this time to build up to that moment. But they tell the story is so economic in how it does it.
I know, Jason, you weren't a fan of Longlegs, but I really equated Longlegs. So Longlegs did the same thing. You got jumped right into this. I think he definitely took that from Silence of the Lambs, like just throwing you right into this investigation. So you're immediately invested within the first couple minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And that's one of my biggest complaints about Longlegs. It just feels so derivative of this movie.
I understand.
But yeah, I'm like, you were talking about the Mount Rushmore. I think on the Mount Rushmore of 90s movies, I think there's like the three I always go to as the most quote influential movies of the 90s that like just took horror and took it into a whole other lane. And like I pretty much put this, Scream, and then Blair Witch as like the three most influential movies of the 90s. I mean,
I could see that.
I'd put Candyman as a very close one. Tremors is very close up there as far as like what movies influenced what came after in different ways. But you know, and people kind of poo-poo on the 90s a little bit, because it was a very unfocused decade for horror.
But the highs were high. The highs were high.
These kind of highs. I remember.
I've been going back and watching some 90s movies that didn't get as much love. I think like some of those movies were unfairly criticized. Like some of those movies are actually like, I mean, like I even like Event Horizon was like, that movie's so fucking out.
I don't understand this this new thing where we're going back in history and trying to say that Event Horizon didn't fuck. That movie is amazing. I do not understand this new narrative that is a bad movie. I saw it in the theater at the time and it was terrifying and unlike anything I had seen. So do not let the haters online proliferate these lies and slanders.
And let me say, there's so many great hidden gems in the 90s. Like if we weren't doing this specific podcast, I would definitely do a 90s specific podcast. Because I think there's so many great hidden gem movies. It's just not like the 80s slasher boom. A lot of the stuff that came out in the 2000s. There just weren't these like huge trends.
But it was kind of funny because you mentioned 3 movies that are very tonally and very stylistically different. But you're right when you say how like this movie inspired this kind of like serial killer fascination, but really diving into the mind of the killer. Blair Witch, obviously found footage. And Scream, obviously, that's even though New Nightmare did it first, that was also 90s though.
Oh yeah.
But still like breaking that fourth wall and making it more kind of meta. It's huge, still influences we see, again, 35 years later.
Yeah, and you can draw like a straight line from Silence of the Lambs to Seven to Saw to in so many movies between Copycat. Shows like The Blacklist, like of the super genius manipulative serial killer. It's
the romanticization of the serial killer definitely has some of its roots in this. Because, like, if you think about the other movies that take inspiration from Ed Gein, like, none of them had the same sort of psychosexual element. I mean, they all had psychosexual element, to be clear, but one that resulted in you having like a desire or an attraction to the killer. I think this was the one that nobody wants to have sex with. Well, somebody probably does, but most people do not want to have sex with Leatherface. As opposed to this, where I think there is like a lot of fetishization of Hannibal Lecter to this day, as it carries through even into the series by Brian Fuller. Like that was all about wanting to fuck Hannibal Lecter.
Right. So
to be fair, like throughout the series, they have to have a super charismatic guy for him to be able to pull these things off, and very mentally manipulative to be able to do the things he does. So it makes sense. Whereas I read recently somewhere an essay about how a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you look at it at face value, it's basically this person with obviously a mentally challenged person who is just scared that outsiders are breaking into his world. And I'm like, holy shit, brings a whole new spin to that.
It's also very asexual in general. The one thing that even no matter what happens, like Sally's never in any sort of like danger of sexual assault. It is a very asexual, unsexy movie.
Well, we're getting way off a tangent, but I rewatched. No, it's fine. I rewatched Texas Chainsaw 2 the other night. I just realized I hadn't seen it in a long time. And there's even a scene where like Leatherface is really into Scratch or Stretch?
Yeah,
Stretch. And like you can tell he's like aroused by her, and the brother is like, oh well, sex, we don't know anything about sex, but the Saw is family. Like this family is just so asexual.
But when they do that in the second one, it's almost like a little kid who doesn't know what he's seeing. Like the first time as a little kid you see Catwoman on screen or something, it's kind of what what he's getting at, like it's still you never feel though he's gonna assault her, he just doesn't quite understand what he's feeling,
Right.
That's probably way more psychoanalysis than Toby Hooper ever put into it. But
so this movie came out when I was like 10 or 11. I definitely remember being a huge thing. I remember like on the Oscars they even had like Billy Crystal wheeled out with a mask and on the stretcher thing. That was like the big opening. And this came out like over a year before the next Oscars came out. So the fact that it came out so early in the year and had that lasting impact is again a testament to how big this was. I remember like girls saw this at sleepovers, and then they were talking about it in school the next day about the man in the basement and they couldn't see. Really kind of sparked a fascination. I don't even think I saw it for another couple of years. And even then, I think the big criticism about this movie is how Buffalo Bill is handled. He's a very secondary character, is given very little understanding. I'm sure we'll get to that more in a minute. But I think Hannibal really just as a character steals this movie with such small amount of screen time, and this movie is just so well made by Jonathan Demme. The way that all the screens, the way Clarice is always framed as like such a small character, that shot where she walks into an elevator at the FBI offices, and there's like all these very tall men just surrounding her, just like enveloping her, and as the elevator like closes in on her, and then when she gets off, she's all by herself. And there's all these scenes of people talking into the camera, like they're talking to her, and then we switch to her perspective, she's talking to them, but the camera's like kind of off. So it's like we're seeing everything kind of from Clarice's perspective. And the camera just does so much showing, not telling. which is, and there's even all this build up to Hannibal as a character. Where they're talking about don't go near the glass, don't do this, don't do that. He even shows her like a really disturbing picture of what he did to one of the nurses. So it's building up this monster who's living in the literal dungeon of a castle, of a sanitarium. And we're walking down and we see all these other people who are saying these obscene things to her. And then she walks up and there's this guy just standing there and just very politely says, "Good morning." It's just one of the best reveals ever because nothing in your head can meet this monster you're about to see, but it turns out to be the most normal looking person.
I mean, like suave, sophisticated, classy. He makes the jumpsuit and the dungeon he's in he like elevates it with this just emanating level of sophistication. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they oh, and also I forgot, the very first scene is Clarice on the training grounds of the FBI, and she's literally running up a hill. Yeah, so that was a very interesting imagery to start off with. Howard Shore does an amazing score for this, which again is very punchy at some points, but then knows when to be quiet without those quiet moments. What else was it? Oh, so yeah, I even read the book. I read this book a while ago. I read Red Dragon. I've seen Mindhunter. I like the vibe of Mindhunter, but I don't love how they changed the ending as much. Red Dragon has a great cast, but yeah, isn't the best directed movie in the world.
Yeah.
Hannibal, I liked what's his name? Gary Oldman as Mason Verger. That was the only part I enjoyed. I thought was interesting about that movie. Yeah, everything else was terrible. I like the show quite a bit. It's some better parts. Some things were interesting. The fact they made it at all, is kind of miraculous. And it was good. And the problem with the show was that they didn't have the rights to Silence of the Lambs, the story, so they didn't have the rights to Clarice. So it was always a little bit hamstrung.
Well, because remember they did that. They also tried to put out a Clarice series.
I didn't remember that until I was doing some research. Yeah,
there's like a investigation of the week series. There was one season of a show called like Starling or something like that. It was
Clarice, yeah. I read that Brian Fuller wanted Elliot Page to play Clarice if he ever got the rights.
Oh, interesting.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. Well, I read that Gene Hackman originally bought the rights to this, thinking that he would play Hannibal.
Oh.
But then,
Gene Hackman, I think Hackman could pull that off. I don't think he could do it at the level of Anthony
Hopkins. Yeah. Well, once he starts like reading the scripts that were coming out, he realized how disturbing the character would be, and decided that he just didn't want to deal with it.
The one thing I do kind of like in this, though, I do like how they don't play Clarice as a sex symbol. Like she's basically like Hannibal almost picks her because he sees her as a challenge. Like he likes that mind game. He wants to play a chess game with her, and he thinks she's like on the top of the top. She's a creme of the creme. I don't think he picks her because she's the fact that she's a female, if that makes sense. I could be wrong on that.
Well, I mean, I think this movie is, so it's interesting. We're gonna get into like the different ways that this movie is really incredible and ways that it's really problematic. I'm sure. Like we'll get into the trans stuff, the propaganda, all that stuff. Yeah. But it is also, two things can be true. It's also this incredible sort of feminist magnum opus about what it is to be a woman moving through the world and the weight of the male gaze. Like to your point, she is always filmed in close-up of her face. There's not a lot of lingering shots on her body. She's dressed modestly. But there's a lot of, you're watching her process and move through these spaces that are not necessarily welcoming to or accommodating to a woman, whether it's that elevator where she's surrounded by these giant men, or when she's in that room with all the cops and they kind of use her being a woman as an excuse to get rid of these other cops. And I think to some degree, even though Hannibal is on the surface much more of a sophisticate, at the end of the day, like every single person she walks by and they turn their head, every person she runs into that hits on her, there is an allure to her that draws him to her. He wants to play with her, but then when she actually is able to kind of like meet him to some degree, I mean, obviously no one has the same level of intellect as this. Like evil genius, but I think he has a respect for her. But it absolutely, the fact that she is beautiful is one of those things that is omnipresent, regardless of her just trying to go through her life. And watching that negotiation is really fascinating. I think he wants to really separate himself from someone like Miggs, but in the end of the day, he uses graphic sexual language to intimidate.
Oh, that's very true, yeah.
He does it with her, and she's just like, I'm not interested in that. And frankly, you sound like Miggs. But he also does it to Catherine's mother. So, I do think that there is kind of a commentary on that below the veneer. He's not that unlike some of the other characters in this.
Well, it's great. I didn't pick up on him calling her telling him you're just like Miggs, because that's got to be like the biggest cut down you could possibly give to that guy. Because like you said, he almost decorates his cell because he's trying to show that I'm better, even though I'm down here with these guys, I'm better than they are. Like I'm on a different level, and she's kind of saying you're not. You're not. Any
she's
different.
like,
you think you're better, but you're not.
Where I think the character Miggs is literally getting off on it. Where I think he's using that language to try to throw her off.
He also does sniff her in a way that is really creepy. Yeah. When he's like telling her not only what she's wearing today, but what she's worn in other times, and that he cannot smell her body parts. There is a power dynamic and play. He is asserting himself, and she handles it well and earns some of his respect in the process, because although at that point I think he still sees her as a plaything to some degree. He has not like completely become infatuated with her, but that psychosexual dynamic and like control is absolutely present in almost every interaction she has with characters in this film. It varies. Like Chilton is not the same as the PhD at the etymology department, but like it is a constant presence everywhere she goes.
Yeah, I love that the bug guy asked her out for cheeseburgers and beer, but then they're present when she gets her badge. I thought that was cute.
Well, because he wasn't a creep about it. He was actually pretty charming. And I mean, and it kind of speaks to a nuance the way this approaches, even though that commentary is integral to what is happening in this film. It's not like it's very nuanced in a way that I think is more of a reflection of what it's like to move through the world as a woman.
I just do want to give a shout out to what's her name? Casey Lemons, who plays her roommate. It's also the roommate or colleague from Candyman.
She's also a director in her own right.
Oh, really? Well, she directed.
Yes, she directed. Oh God, what is it called? Eve's Bayou.
Oh, that's right. A good time to shout out that this week is Black Director Month or Black Director Week for the Oh My Horror Challenge, and I've never seen Eve's Bayou. I might have to change that.
It's good. It's good.
She did a movie called Harriet. I'm assuming it's Harriet Tubman.
She did.
All right. With Cynthia Arrivio. That's cool. And Janelle Monáe, Leslie Odom. Oh, check that out.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't know that Roger Corman is in this movie too?
Yeah.
No, where is he in
director.
This? FBI director, yeah.
Oh, crazy. I mean, there are a lot of like weird cameos in this. Like, did you all catch Chris Isaacs in it?
No, I didn't.
Who is he in that? I saw it on the credits, but I couldn't figure out who he was.
He's one of the like SWAT members when who's standing outside the elevator when it's like bleeding down onto the gurney. He's right there. He's like right in the foreground.
I will tell you, we're fucking horror nerds, and I'll recognize Roger Corman, but not Chris Isaacs.
But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Demme directs the hell out of this movie. He's such an amazing director. I love Rachel Getting Married, Stop Making Sense. And then so I watched I listened to the Horror Queers do their review about this. They did a couple years ago. And Jonathan Demme, right after this, directed Philadelphia, and they called that his apology movie.
Interesting. I could kind of, I mean, like, if one of them demonizes the queer community, the other one certainly is like humanizing. So I could kind of see that.
Yeah. So let's dive into that, Rachel.
Sure. Yeah. So I think here's the thing. Like, you guys were talking about Mount Rushmore movies. To me, I think if you are able to remove this movie from the context of the world that we live in, this to me is a perfect film. I actually think it's a perfect film. Pacing, performance, theme, story, score, like it's all here. It's incredible. It gets complicated when we actually put it into the context of actually how the world works. Like if we lived in a world with exceptions towards trans people, with abundant trans representation in the media and trustworthy law enforcement who, you know, who are not actively covering up a massive child trafficking scandal right now. Like there's a version of this world, and a better world. This movie is a perfect movie. Unfortunately, we live in a world where those realities exist, or don't exist rather. And so when you have a film, even if it can textually says this is not a trans person, the way that it is received from an audience, especially one who have like 5 examples of trans representation at this time, almost all of them negative, almost all of them showing them as killers or tricksters or mentally ill people. This has an actual impact on trans people. It is one of the formative ideas that we have about transness that now people have to compete to kind of create a separate narrative about. And it's like also what young trans people saw and heard people trans people described as. So it has like an actual literal impact on people's lives. It's not just that it's a bad representation. It actually has impact. So like I don't think we can talk about this movie honestly without addressing that is a reality, that it caused material harm to people. But yeah, I don't know. Is that what you wanted me to? Is that what you meant by talk about this?
I think that's a great way to important though, and I think sometimes and this is why I love having diverse people on this podcast to talk about this stuff, because I think myself, my child is non-binary. So while it does directly affect me, it kind of doesn't sometimes, because even though I can empathize with that struggle, I'll never understand what it's like to be in that body and deal with the external forces that people, that LGBTQIA people have to deal with. And I think sometimes like I don't look at a character like Buffalo Bill and see that negativity because I don't share those negative thoughts. But when you mention that, that makes 100% sense, how that's basically taking, if you already have a negative stigma towards these people, all this does is validate that negative stigma.
Yes.
And I sometimes don't think about it that way.
Positive representation.
Yeah. And
that's the problem, is there's no narratives to offset it. And it's gotten better. It went from that to like tragedy. And then we started to see like a more balanced, more like understated representation. But what's happening is that's pulling back. It's actually getting worse again. Like studies are showing like that it's getting worse again. And we're going to be left with these. You want to talk about Mount Rushmore? Like there are probably like 5 trans characters on a Mount Rushmore somewhere. And Buffalo Bill's on there, even though he textually is not. And the movie's supposed to say like he thinks he is. And this is really about his own like self-loathing. And he's trying to get away from who he really is. We all know how we interpreted this. Yeah. We all know that this is one of the handful of examples that we've seen.
And people who are going to look at it like that too, they're not going to try to look for the nuance in that character or whatever struggles they're having. They're just looking at, here's someone here's a mentally ill person that's a bad person because they have these beliefs, which is it fucking pisses me off that in 2026 we're still having this. Like I hate the fact that in 2026 I feel like we're going backwards in as far as like what we should be fucking going. It bothers me to no end, and I never kind of really thought about that with this movie, but that's I mean, and the reality of it is too, and like I'm not going to speak for Jason, but I know myself, I grew up in a house with a lot of hatred. I mean, granted, I grew up in a Hispanic household. Newsflash: Mexican people can be fucking racist, and also, you know, I think some people too, and I don't want to speak for any communities, but sometimes people who are already in a minority community, when you're the minority in a minority community, that even makes it even tougher. But I definitely know, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh yeah, I was all the perfect growing up and never say anything hard. I said some hurtful shit but I grew up and realized, but as I got older, I'm like, you meet people and you start learning more about the world and you realize, oh wait, like those fucking things I said and thought were stupid. Why the hell did my brain ever do that? But I'll never ever pretend I didn't, because to pretend I didn't would be to pretend like that doesn't exist, right?
Right.
But I'd like to think, though, now that we'd be past this, we'd all be thinking in this different mindset that like we can all be different and it's okay. But holy shit, are we going backwards? And it hurts.
Boy.
It sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks for our kids. It sucks for our kids' kids. It sucks for people that are already fighting that battle. And I'm like, fuck.
Bring it back to the movie though. I was thinking about this, and like you're talking about within the text of the movie, where the actual line that he's not transgender but he thinks he is actually said by Lecter, not by like Chilton or like any like. Yeah. So we're thinking Lecter as a quote unquote authority but we already know he's crazy as he is. I think the problem is that the movie never gives us anything from Buffalo Bill's perspective.
Right.
There
are like whispers and hints.
Truth? Like he never refers to himself as they or he or she or anything. So we know we have the movie isn't.
They also use transvestite.
I'm saying within the context of the movie, like it doesn't. The movie's not interested in his story, which just makes it even more damning. That doesn't give the audience anything to think about him.
It's been a while.
Also presenting these like incredibly impactful visuals that became a part of the zeitgeist. Like his tucking scene is one we all know. It has been parodied within an inch of its life. And whether or not Jonathan Demme intended for that scene to become synonymous with what some part of what we imagine trans people to be within the absence of other examples, like that is just a reality. It's in there. It is in the forever zeitgeist.
And Mondo, you're talking about like what impact that had, how you as a child when you saw this. Like I was thinking about when I saw this, like it just flew right over my head. Really, it's like okay, here's a crazy guy who just likes to make women's suits. That I never really associated.
You also probably knew tucking was like a thing, though. Like for a certain portion of the audience, we'd never seen anything like that. I didn't even know you could do the fruit basket. You know what I mean? So, like,
I'm saying, like, I think for a lot of people, it either flew over their heads or maybe it triggered something in them, like either negative or positively. I think that's kind of the ways it probably could have gone. Again, from the source material, I know that in the source material it does talk, the source material being the original book, it does talk about his abusive upbringing that kind of led him to where he is. And again, I haven't read the book in long enough to remember exactly what it says.
But again, doesn't necessarily make it better.
No,
it make it worse.
I think when they do that, sometimes they're almost saying like, "Look, you only become this way because of X, Y, and Z." And it's interesting, even from like a therapy standpoint, like therapists have kind of gone away from saying like everything you love now is from your childhood. Like, no, just because you like something doesn't mean it was because you were X, Y, and Z in your childhood. Yeah. It could just be that's just how you are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely tricky because it like perpetuates the idea that equates being trans with a mental illness.
Right.
Yeah, that's not great. That being said, I do love this movie. To be clear, I'm not trying to say I don't love this movie.
As a feminist text, yes, it's an amazing example. It hits that out of the park.
Two truths can coexist. That's the problem. It's a complex thing because I can see and validate the harm that the depiction of James Gumb has, while also being like, this was one of my earliest examples of like a true sort of feminist narrative, not like in a pedantic way, but like just in practice, seeing someone like Clarice, someone who is so intelligent, really skilled at her job, brave, just moving through the world against headwinds it was definitely, I know we like spent a long time talking about Hannibal Lecter, and he's definitely a compelling character, but I think what gets lost in the mix is what an extraordinary character Clarice Starling is. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of really compelling male villains out there. There are only a handful of really incredible, well-written, complex female characters, especially in the 90s, to your point, Mondo. Like, there were a handful. And I was saying before we were recording over chat, like, this was one of like the handful of movies that I saw as a kid that like blew my mind open. And I was obsessed with Clarice. I wanted to be her. Like, it's so funny. I wanted to be an FBI agent because I saw this movie when I was a kid.
That's
crazy
awesome,
to see
though.
where I ended up. Well, but yeah, that's
representation.
Yes, 100%. Like, it never even occurred to me that that was an option. I bought all the like Time Life books about serial killers after I watched this movie. She had a huge impact on me. And so I have these things, like the adult in me that is very passionate about trans rights is in conflict with the 11-year-old me that was like, I have now envisioned a world I did not exist through the eyes and perspective of Clarice Starling. So I think, for whatever that's worth, it makes an important piece of cinema, regardless of it being problematic.
And I think, though, like, again, we look back at the early 90s of when this was made. It sucks that homophobia and transphobia were just accepted. Like, it was just a thing. And granted, it's still way too more accepted now, right? But it's still way more accepted now than, it's still too accepted, let's be honest. But I don't think it was ever, I don't know if he ever wrote it to potentially be damaging to that community.
No.
But I think we still have to talk about the fact that it still is. No, and I think the movie can live in both those spaces. And
agree.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of movies I love, and I'll watch them again and be like, oh, that wouldn't fly today, for better or for worse, and generally for better. Like, and generally, it's one of those things that's like, if you took that piece out of the movie, it would still be a great movie. You just wouldn't have this little problematic piece in there. And I think that a lot of directors or writers, when they look back at some of that work they did, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't need to. I didn't have to do this or do this. And I think that's part of growing up, though, and being able to talk about this stuff in our in our 2025 versus talking about it in 91.
I actually think it's a good sign that problematic content exists, because if it didn't, that would mean we had not moved as a society in our thinking, in our culture. We have not. If problematic shit doesn't exist in our past, it does not mean, it means we are not growing, and we are not like. So I don't know. I think it's important that we recognize it, but also like pat ourselves on the back for the progress that we've made and the progress to come.
You can make I think you can make a theory that problematic content is a reflection of the art of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, it doesn't come from a vacuum. So it's kind of showing something that was there. And if we don't recognize that it's there, things are problematic, you can't move forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't even see it if it's still the prevailing culture. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's probably shit we're doing right now that in our kids, well, not mine because I'm a childless old crone, your children will look back and be like, dude, what were y'all thinking?
We've been documented 226 weeks in a row. So,
but it's interesting because Patton Oswalt does a really great bit on this on his newest special, where he talks about how, like, he's woke. He goes, but don't worry. He goes, in like 40 years, they're gonna look back at something I said and be like, that guy was a racist jackass.
100%.
But he talks that same point, Rachel. His whole point is that, like, the things are going to change in that direction, hopefully for the better. And he goes, I hope, like, in 50 years, someone looks back at me and says, oh, that was problematic. He goes, because that means exactly like you just said. That means we've evolved, and that's good.
Me and Patton on the same page. I don't think you could give me a better compliment.
Well, also, speaking of Patton Oswalt, if you watch the new documentary Chain Reactions about Texas Chainsaw that he's in, he talks about when his mother took him to see Silence of the Lambs. And afterwards, he references the part that disturbed her the most was that Buffalo Bill had a nipple piercing.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Like, wow, of all the things in this movie, that's the one thing that, like, took you back.
This is definitely a movie that I saw too young, that I did not understand things that later when I watched them, I was like, oh my, this movie, my mom took me to this movie. But like, they did totally fly over my head. Yeah.
One of my other favorite bits about this is when Anthony Hopkins was cast.
Mm-hmm.
He asked Jonathan Demme, what inspired you to cast me? He says it was your role in The Elephant Man.
Oh wow!
That he did with David Lynch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins says, but the doctor from The Elephant Man is a good person. He's like, yes, Hannibal Lecter is a good person. He's just trapped in an insane mind.
Interesting. That's interesting. I mean, he's certainly a polite person. I wouldn't say he's a good person. He has a very clear moral code. It's, I think, pretty immoral largely.
Yeah.
But he's not chaotic. Like, he has in his mind, there is some order to the way that he sees the world that's fascinating. And I have to say, this movie still has one of the best and most impactful endings in like cinematic history.
Oh, when he walks into the crowd and just like disappears into like
yes, that whole sequence. And it's funny because, you know, what he's going to do is horrific, but the movie has done a very good job of making you want him to go eat Dr. Gentleman.
Oh, he's the worst.
Well, you rationalize that he's going to go eat this person who's also a bad person, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, an opportunist. Probably, honestly, the thing is honestly, he probably deserved to get eaten. I don't think he was treating his patients very well, and he was like a gross, creepy opportunist. But the movie does play with your internal morality in that way very effectively.
It's kind of like if the Green River Killer escaped, but he went right to Washington. We'd be like, yeah, we should stop him, but can we just let's just give him a little bit and see what happens?
Like, you know, take a long weekend. It's fine.
After he takes care of some problems we have, and then we'll stop him.
I mean, and that goes back to one of the biggest things you always hear in film is show, don't tell, and there's so much of that. But except for the most pivotal movement in the pivotal moment in the movie, has Jodie Foster telling Hannibal Lecter about her experience as an orphan, and when she's saving the lamb, but it's literally her telling him. But she gives such an amazing performance.
Yeah,
they were actually going to film scenes with a child actress.
No.
And she gave that monologue, and they're like, "Well, we don't need that anymore."
Yeah. No, it is speaks to the ability, if you have the right performance, the right editing, the right sound, just two incredible actors at the peak of their skill, just exchanging dialogue can be some of the most electric shit you can put on just the silver screen.
I kind of hate that we there's a new movie that's out there everybody's loving, but I hate when movies do this thing where they almost act like I wasn't paying attention during the movie. So they have to give me an exposition flashback scene. And like this, to your point, and that monologue she does in this, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a real conversation that she's having with another human being that's just done masterfully well. And I hate that trope of you basically telling me that I'm too dumb to understand the breadcrumbs you've left.
Ooh, what is the movie you're talking about? I'm curious.
A new Sam Raimi movie.
Oh, The Sin. I haven't seen it yet. Okay.
I feel like I'm one of the few people
I've seen
negative on it, and I don't dislike it. I have to say I don't hate it. It was just hyped up so much. I thought it was solid, but they do an exposition scene that I'm just like, I was watching the movie. I get it.
Okay, I'm going to be on the lookout for that because I have to see that.
Sometimes I wonder if they do it. You see it a lot in modern film because they assume people are going to be watching this on streaming. They're going to be on their phones and missing spots and missing parts. But my mentality is, if you're on your phone and missing parts of the movie, you don't deserve to understand the ending. That's on you. That's on you. It's not the director to have to think you're going to be doing that.
Oh man!
But still, though, still a solid movie. Rachel McAdams is fucking awesome.
I mean, yeah, she's amazing.
I can never remember the male actor's name in this, but he's really good too.
I just think of him as Styles from Teen Wolf.
He's really good though.
Yeah, he is really good.
But Rachel McAdams, holy shit, she steals the show.
Of course.
All right, let's move to our episode rating. We do 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Rachel, what do you give this movie?
I'm of two minds.
But this is you. You're not speaking for.
I know, but I'm just like, I think the right answer would be to ding it for the elements that we've discussed. But I am an imperfect person, and this is a perfect movie. 5.
I totally, that makes total sense. All right, Mondo.
I was like, God damn it! If Rachel doesn't give it a 5, then I can't give it a 5. I'm problematic.
We are.
Yeah, we're all flawed. We're all flawed, right? Also a 5 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could put an asterisk next to it, but for what the movie is trying to do, for the perspective it has, it's a perfect movie in that sense. So.
I mean, I fucking love blood-sucking freaks, so I can't I have no fucking taste.
Stop.
Taste be damned.
I mean, think of a better example of this, like a more well-executed example of this subgenre.
Yeah.
You cannot. This is the best of the best. It has to be a 5.
I think I actually kind of like Manhunter just a little bit more.
Interesting. That is a hot take. I like it.
Not for performance, not for story. I just love it. Looks grittier. The way it's filmed, it is grittier, and that's kind of like my thing. I love that. I love that aspect of it. I wouldn't say it's a better movie by any means, but I would say I think I enjoy that grittiness the way it's filmed better. That's it.
I love that. Okay,
I mean,
hot take.
There's like a perspective from like Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs to Red Dragon. If you just take those three, we don't talk about Hannibal. Like where Red Dragon is like a little overproduced, where Manhunter is very gritty, and this is more kind of somewhere in the middle.
But I'm gonna say as a personal probably like enjoyment, but it's not like I still would not say it's a better movie than Silence of the Lambs. I gotta be very clear on that.
Honestly, though, even if you did, I would think that was super interesting. Like I love a hot take.
It's just I love that gritty film style. That's just I don't know, like that for me is like my sweet spot in cinema, and that's one thing I miss about modern cinema is that I miss like that gritty, that film, that quality of it. Sometimes stuff just looks too pretty, and the other side of it is sometimes when people try to make it look a little bit ugly, it's very obviously filtered and not. It's tough. It's hard for filmmakers though. I'm not knocking anybody for doing that. That's just how it is. As technology advances, we can't all live in a Betamax world, I guess.
All right, let's take a quick break and do a shout out.
Hey, this is Jamie Kennedy. You're listening to Dads from the Crypt. You're pushing it. Hey.
Oh, Jamie. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So people out there should know I'm a big pro wrestling fan. And did you guys see what happened this week in AEW? That actually went viral.
I even saw it.
So I was very bummed because my back's been so fucked up, and I was going to go to that show because it's here in Vegas.
Oh, really?
But I was like, I just can't sit down for 4 hours right now. My back's all jacked up, so I didn't go. And I was going to go to a concert the same night. And I skipped my concert too because I was in so much pain. And then I was so bummed I didn't go. But I was so proud of my fellow Vegas wrestling fans for so the context behind it is Brody King, the guy with all the tattoos. He got kind of infamous because on a show they did in Mexico, he wore an abolish ICE t-shirt. And that kind of become his thing. And a promo a week before, MJF goes, you're the only liberal I know that looks like a Nazi.
I mean, when I didn't know the players and I just saw the video at first, I didn't know I needed to do. My first impression was incorrect. I'll just say that.
Well, and I know, Rachel, you've interviewed a couple people from AEW, right? You've interviewed Anthony Bowens, I think.
Yes. Oh, he's the best. He taught me how to scissor.
I'm so goddamn jealous.
On many levels.
But AEW's always been very inclusive too. Like that, they've had Abaddon, who's a gender fluid character, Sonny Kiss back in the early days. Sadly, like both of them not in the company anymore, not for any reason except for the fact that they're still getting better as wrestlers, which is okay. But they've always been very adamant. They even call they're the only promotion that calls their World Heavyweight Championship the Men's World Championship, because they figure, why do we have the World Championship then the Women's Championship? That kind of devalues the women. So they have the Men's Championship, the Men's World Championship, and the Women's World Championship, because they want to make sure that they're considered on the same level. And of course, you have these basement dwellers that are like, meh. And I'm like, nah, dude, fuck off. Like,
watch WWE then.
Yeah, go watch a company that sucks the Saudi blood money cock. Go follow that company. Anyhow, that's why I have no respect for CM Punk, by the way. Because he used to go on tangents talking about like pro LGBTQ and everything. Fuck Saudi Arabia. Fuck them for going over there. The minute they hand him a paycheck, his ass was on a plane to Saudi Arabia. So don't stand in the fucking soapbox and then go do the thing you say you hated.
It's disappointing.
Yes, that's why I have no respect for that man.
I thought he was one of the goodies. Oh well.
I think. You know what? Again, it's nuanced.
On a sliding scale of WWE, he's still kidding.
I do hate people because like I don't have a problem with the person who's like, newer in the business trying to make money. They don't have a choice. They get told they're going over there to wrestle. They're going over there to wrestle. They need to make a livelihood, right? Here's a guy who's a multi-millionaire who has enough power in the company to say, hey, I'm not going, and he's not going to have to go. So my problem is like if you stand in the soapbox and champion for people's rights and then go, but not only that, I don't know if you noticed when he went to Saudi Arabia, he did an interview and he apologized to the country of Saudi Arabia for talking bad about them.
Ew.
And so I'm like, at this point, you're sucking the corporate.
You got to
teat.
say it with your full chest, all 10
Yeah.
toes. Like, get out of here with this.
Yeah, whereas
not in 2026. Not in the political climate we're in right now.
Exactly.
Like,
have some fucking balls. If you're gonna go on, if you're gonna stand in your soapbox, have the balls to back up your talk. But
correct.
I digress. The other thing I want to give AEW credit for is what would have happened in WWE had they done this. They would have muted the crowd and just rang the bell and started the match. They let that breathe. They could have easily in production said, hey, just start the match. No, they're like, no, this is important. Let's let it breathe. And I honestly think that this is changing some people's minds in a good way.
You think so? I love that.
All it takes is 2,000 people inside of the Palms to chant "fuck ICE" and for the media to take notice and people to take notice. And maybe it's because I live in some type of a bubble with these fandoms that I'm hoping they'll like. I just want to see change in the world. But I do want to give a shout out to Brody King, who's been very vocally anti-ICE. He's done a comic series with Headlock Comics with basically a fuck ICE comic that they donated all the profits to basically I don't know the exact organization, but organizations who are fighting for immigrant rights and fighting for minority rights and just simply trying to fight against people being fucking kidnapped off the streets, which is what's happening. So he actually plays in a band called God's Hate, and he's a vocalist. So, and they're very, again, anti-establishment, right? What the idea of punk and hardcore founded off of. So anybody out there that supports fucking MAGA, you probably don't listen to us anyways, which is great. Love it. I love that for us. but if you are, don't ever call yourself a fucking punk, because you're not. Like, you can't be a punk. You can't be into hardcore and have these fucking mentalities. But his band is called God's Hate. The album I'm going to call is Mass Murder. And the song is called Crown of Power, which is about the political system. Not my favorite genre of music. It's very, very hard, the hardcore stylings, but it's good music. And it's anytime we can elevate someone, or I can give a shout out to someone who's using their public persona to push a message like this. I think that's very important to do.
Absolutely. I know. The whole like celebrities shouldn't speak about politics. Like, they are people impacted by politics. Why would you think that they wouldn't have an opinion? That's very stupid. And all these are also the same people that are like, money is speech. Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it? Pick a lane.
Right. And it's like that in a lot of avenues. And I heard this statement. I don't know if he came up with it, but I thought it was fucking brilliant. Where I think it was Stephen Kesting, who is a very vocal liberal jiu-jitsu practitioner. As a guy that talks a lot about, I love jiu-jitsu. My favorite things in the world. I also hate that it's fucking. There's so many right-wing pieces of shit in this sport that I love, to where I'm very careful now. I don't call people I train with my friends. I call them my training partners, unless I know where I got to know. I can get in the gym and train with you, but outside of that gym, if we're not like on the same mental, like if you think fucking minorities should be kidnapped off the streets, we can't be buddies. That's all there is to it. I'm like, I hate when people are like, that's not losing friends over politics. That's losing friends over just our fucking moral compass.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's an ethical, moral difference.
But someone told Stephen Kesting,
if somebody has different tax policy ideas than me, like, we can still be cool.
Yeah.
But if you think that someone with brown skin is not a person, we're not cool. We never fucking will be.
You can be like, hey, we need stronger immigration policies, but we need to do it the right way with habeas corpus. I'd be like, okay, I can respect your opinion, because those people are usually still mad that we're fucking completely ignoring the Constitution. Just saying.
The hypocrisy is thick with that.
Yeah. But Stephen Kesting said, because someone hit him up and goes, just stick to jiu-jitsu. He goes, I am sticking to jiu-jitsu. He goes, because I love jiu-jitsu, and if ICE murders me, then I can't do jiu-jitsu. I said, over ICE murders on my teammates, they can't do jiu-jitsu. So yeah, we need to be talking out about these things. And I'm not gonna lie. Like, anytime I hear a celebrity say, "Oh, I don't want to talk politics, I'm not political," like, dude,
you know exactly what that means. Come on,
exactly
Jelly Roll.
what that means,
Come
dude.
on now.
That means
come on
fuck
now,
Jelly Roll. That
coward.
guy's his music sucks. He also got in bed with WWE. Fuck him. Fuck him. And everybody. So I don't know if you know, WWE did a tie-in with Stranger Things, and nobody on the show wanted to be there.
Oh,
they all refused to be there.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, they're like, fuck, we're not going on that show. No, like, yeah, why? You don't have to lower yourself to this shit. And again, I'm not knocking a person who their whole life their dream was to be a pro wrestler, and WWE hires them because there's two places you can make money. And if one's going to give you money, you have to do it. That's your career. I get it. But when you're already a superstar on your soapbox, and then but you'll turn around and apologize to people you talk shit about because they're handing you a big paycheck. Like, I'm sorry, like you can just fuck right off with that. Like, that's just performative. Now you're now it's very now everything you said before I have to take as performative, and I hate that.
Yeah.
So is there a song in here?
Yeah, I said God's Hate, Crown of Power off the album Mass Murder.
Damn, Jason.
I'm fired up this week, guys. Like, it's just I don't know.
It.
Right,
I love it.
I like it all out.
I'll put my money where my fucking mouth is, dude. If Saudi Arabia offers me a shit ton of money tomorrow, I'm not taking it. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Unless I can take that money and somehow use to fight the fucking fascism here. But
donate the money.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's easy to say. Obviously, it's easy to say, but it's one of those things where it's like I have no problem. Like,
this is an apples and oranges thing to some degree, though, because you're talking about people with a lot of money and a lot of power who have used that platform to create a persona and then to undercut it. It's not the same thing as somebody who's like for the same reason I don't care if somebody is broken and starving steals some bread. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing as Elon Musk going in and stealing a piece of bread. It's just not the same fucking thing.
Fucking, and he would fucking do that too. I bet you he would do that.
Oh, please, he would do it. Yes,
I hate that man. I challenged him when he said he's getting into grappling competitions. I challenged him to a grappling match for control of Twitter. He never responded to me.
I so wish him and Zuckerberg had actually gotten in the ring. The degree of just joy watching those two idiots flop around in a ring. Well, I can't even tell you. It'd be so humiliating.
I have thoughts on Zuckerberg, and I'm going to be a little bit positive on him he's a terrible human being.
Okay,
terrible human being. But what I will say though is he actually trains to be a grappler and goes to local competitions and actually competes.
Okay. Well, then I definitely would have liked to have seen that.
He would have fucked Elon Musk up because I asked Elon Musk, "What are you training fighting?" He's like, "I'm a street fighter." I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna get murdered. Like, you're gonna get absolutely murdered." One of my favorite things is when we get these guys coming into the gym and they're like, I can't, like, no one can beat me up. I'm a tough guy. And then we pair them with like a purple belt girl who's like 145 pounds and just see how many times she can tap them out in 5 minutes. Nothing makes me fucking happier.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. I've been looking at that ICE list once a week to see if any new ICE agents pop up in Nevada. Because if there's somebody I train with, I'm going to give them a bad time. I'm going to give them a very bad time.
Yeah. That armbar is going to go a little bit further.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't break someone's arm, but I would choke them unconscious. You can be
like
mean.
Hannibal Lecter, you have a code.
You can be mean. You can be real mean. Like dig your knee. You can dig your knees into their ribs and just sit there for a long time. Like, there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do to really make someone's life miserable.
I love it.
When we get new people to the gym, I'm very nice to them because I want them to keep coming back, and I really want them to love this thing that I love. When we get police officers in, that's their first day. I'm just saying, like they get a little bit rougher.
I love you, Mondo.
Hey, dude, it's
never change.
Malicious was it called malicious compliance or whatever?
Yeah. All right, before we wrap up, since Jodie's not here, Rachel, I thought we could kind of balance things out a little bit with some positive trans representation that you
in 2026 we're doing positivity. Let's do it.
I know.
It's so retro.
I know. I'm old school. What would you recommend?
Oh, for positive trans representation. Well, I think in the horror genre specifically, I would do any of the work of Alice Mayo McKay, who did like So Vam, Serpent Skin. I'm trying to think. Almost all of her films are on Shudder. She is an Australian trans woman who started making films in her teens. Like the movies. Oh, she's like a wonderkind. I think So Vam is still my favorite. The films all star trans people who get to have like heroic arcs. They get to have romantic arcs. It's very, like it's punk. It's very much through the perspective of like a Gen Z trans girl. Would highly recommend those. I'm trying to think what else.
I can't remember the last
Alice Mayo McKay. I would start with So Vam, and it's about like this gay boy who wants to be a drag queen, wants to get out of his like gay bashy small town in Australia, and ends up getting recruited into this group of like trans vampires. And it's like low budget, but it's so funny because she like gets like some celebrities will like do voiceovers and pop up in these things. So I would go there for sure. And she's super prolific. She has a movie that's on the circuit, like the festival circuit right now, called Serpent Skin. That's really, really good. It's about like trans witches that fall in love. I'm trying to think who off the top of my head. I'm so bad at this off the top of my head always. My brain goes blank.
Sorry, I should have prepped you on that.
It's fine.
I can bring up one that my child brought up was an Evil Dead Rise of all things.
Yes.
There was a trans child in that, but they really liked how they never put any emphasis on their sexuality. They were just, that's just my brother or sister. I can't remember if it was a male or female.
Brother, yeah.
But that's my brother. It wasn't ever, they never went over that. Because sometimes I think when you have I guess like non-LGBTQ people writing trans people, they try to make it almost like a big deal that this person is trans. And that was just like, hey, that's just someone you meet in life. It's cool.
Yep.
And I kind of really like that.
I totally agree. I remember I wrote a piece about them actually because it was like the same week that there was a trans character on Yellow Jackets that was just sort of like a non-issue. They just sort of existed, and I was like, this is actually what the future of I think trans representation should look like. Now this person is trans but didn't play trans, and I think it's actually a very interesting use of like casting. Did you guys see Cuckoo?
I tried, but the version I had was in German, so I had to stop.
Okay, well, I say circle back. It stars Hunter Schafer, and it's a movie that's ultimately about reproductive horror, but they have a trans woman playing the lead character, and it's like this very, I think, radical approach to tell those kinds of stories. And she's presumably a cis female character in the film, and it's not mentioned. She just exists, and I think that is also the future of trans representation, where we can have trans women just playing women and having their trans or cisness be a non-factor. I feel like the only body that exists in the world that is more policed than a cis woman's body is a trans woman's body. So to get to see her in that role, I feel it felt meaningful on a handful of levels. So I would say Cuckoo for sure. Also, it's good. I really liked Cuckoo. It's very weird.
I need to watch it. It's been on my list forever. And I think that came out right around the same time as Oddity. And I watched Oddity and forgot all about Cuckoo, like, because they have the same one-word name.
Yes. How excited are you for Hokum, by the way, on the Oddity tip? I cannot wait for Hokum.
There's a test screening I might go to.
Okay. Slide it in the DMs. Let me know how it is. I'm dying to see it. I mean, I'm doing South by Southwest. I'm hoping to get my eyeballs on it. Not that you would. Of course not. Just kidding.
If I can give a shout out to a previous guest we had, because they're also a local where I'm from, Logan Ashley Kisner, who's an author that writes a trans author that writes books about like, I think it's called Old Wounds, which is a young adult novel about a I can't remember if it's their process of transformation or not, but it's about trans teens and their struggle with monsters and all this kind of stuff. They're horror novels from the trans lens.
Love it.
The one that came to my mind was Jane. I'm not sure if I say it right. Schoenbrunn.
Oh, Schoenbrunn. Yes.
She did. We're all going to World's Fair.
That was one of those movies that I watched it. I'm like, it wasn't meant for someone my age, but it was a good movie. But I can't like whenever I recommend it to younger people. I'll put it that way.
Did you like I Saw the TV Glow? Did you like that one? That one feels.
I should. It's on my list. My list that just will never end.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't understand it, but I was fascinated by it.
What's interesting about her films is that they're about dysphoria, but they're literally like they're more almost like about their internal process and not geared towards like an educating of a cis audience. And so I feel like people get a little lost because in those circumstances we're so trained and accustomed to trans people being like, I have come to educate you, please see me as human. And their films are just like, this is the experience, I am putting to film the experience and the emotion and the like intellectual sort of struggles around dysphoria, and you got to figure it out. I had to figure it out.
I
You
love
got to
that.
figure it out. Yeah, I'm super excited for their next film.
I think with
Teenage Death and what is it? Teenage Sex at
Camp Miasma.
Yeah, because it's like
Miami,
Gillian
yeah.
Anderson and the Hacks lady. I'm hoping they're gonna kiss.
Yeah. I do gotta say about we're all going to the World's Fair. I don't think that was a part that kind of I knew it wasn't meant for me. I think it was the usage of the way they're using technology in much a young teenager way that I was like, I don't understand why they wouldn't just do this, but I'm not thinking. I think it's just that I'm old.
It's also that's like about the experience they had at that age with like an older man online. Like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some of it is about Jane's actual experience. It's funny. I interviewed Jane for that movie, but the call was for like 6 a.m. Pacific. So I was like, I'm not going to be on camera, but they were on camera. So then we kind of like recreated the dynamic of that movie.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was not visible, but they were. And like, we were kind of like talking about how it made the conversation super meta in a really interesting, weird way.
Which you totally meant. Right?
Oh yeah, I mean, everything I do is very intentional and well thought out.
All right. Well, that wraps things up. Rachel, it's always a pleasure. Why don't you shout out where people can follow you and all the great work you do and anything else you want to promote?
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for having me back on. I hope I did this movie justice. It's one that I really love, but is complicated. And it also, just anytime you guys put out the dad's signal, of course I'm going to be here because I just love hanging out with you guys.
We love having you.
I consider you part of my like extended family. I just adore each of you so much. So yes, thank you for having me on. If you want more of me, you can find me every week on Bloody Good Horror. You can find me every week on More Deadly, where we review horror films directed exclusively by women, but it is cis and non-binary. Trans and non-binary inclusive. The latest episode, I think that's out right now, is our interview with the Addams Family, where we talk about Mother of Flies, which is an incredible piece of filmmaking.
I loved it.
It's amazing.
It's so good. I didn't really love the last one they did before this. They are kind of hit or miss sometimes, but they're always even the movies that have missed for me, they're interesting.
They're totally original.
Nothing else. And I cannot, and which makes me excited. Even if like the last one didn't hit, I was still super excited to watch this one. And this one, I love this one.
So good. And they're just they're like the nicest people in Hollywood. They're so lovely. Every time I talk to them, they're just so warm and like you can't not root for them. And then they make these incredible, bizarre, dark films. So that's out. So definitely check that out. We also just recently covered Bone Temple. So, after you see it, Mondo, feel free to swing by and give it a listen. Yeah. And if you want to slide into the M's, we're at ZG Podcasts, or I'm at Rach Pants. And I'd love to hear from you.
Alrighty. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate it if you would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads From the Crypt Talk on TikTok. With that, we thank you for listening to Dads From the Crypt.
Follow Dads From the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.